Hello everybody. In this video, we will try to understand what happens when planet Jupiter is in the 8th house of a horoscope. So what is 8th house in Vedic astrology? In Vedic astrology, 8th house is treated as the house of transformation, is the house of death and sudden changes. It also represents the inheritance, property, or the shared wealth, or the other people's money that you may get in your life. It represents your hidden knowledge, your knowledge related to mysticism and occult sciences. It represents the obstacles, losses, and sudden events that you would observe in your life. So, 8th house is basically an intense and unpredictable house in Vedic astrology. So, anything in the 8th house will often trigger deep transformation in your life. What about planet Jupiter? Planet Jupiter, the general nature is it's the planet of expansion, wisdom, luck, morality, and spirituality. And it represents the divine grace in your life. So the dignity of Jupiter represents the kind of blessings that you may get in your life. And another important thing is Jupiter is also called as the planet of dharma. Now, if you send a teacher or a professor to a university, you can expect he will do something better, because in the university there is some work related to a professor. Here, if you send a painter to a university, if the university has some painting work, yes, the painter can do something. If not, the painter cannot do anything. He cannot express himself better. So if you observe Jupiter likes openness, teaching, and freedom, whereas the 8th house is very much into secretiveness, hiddenness, and transformational nature. So in this way, they are a bit opposites, not completely. We will discuss what are all the things that are in alignment and can be manifested and fructified when Jupiter is in the 8th house, because there are some of the things which are in alignment, the Jupiter things and the 8th house things in alignment. There are some. First thing is the spiritual growth, because Jupiter is very much into this one, right? The spiritual growth. So when Jupiter is in the 8th house in your horoscope, you may be drawn to occult sciences, astrology, psychology, or hidden knowledge. And longevity, classical texts said when Jupiter is in the 8th house, it promotes long life, because Jupiter is a giver of life, and 8th house is always about your ayush, that is your longevity. So it promotes, especially when Jupiter is a functionally benefic. I want to repeat, for Taurus ascendant, Capricorn ascendant, and Cancer ascendant, Jupiter is a functionally malefic planet, but still, when a functionally malefic planet is sitting in the 8th house, its maleficity reduces. That is one important thing I want to tell you. Now, when Jupiter is in the 8th house, one of the most positive impact is inheritance, property, or the shared resources. Jupiter can bless you with money, property, or benefits from others. That may come unexpectedly also. Another important thing is, the most important thing after this inheritance or shared resources, that is your transformative wisdom. What is transformative wisdom? See, you learn life lessons through crisis, losses, or sudden events in your life. You will become wiser over time. That is what Jupiter in the 8th house represents. You will become wiser over time. You will learn life lessons. And through those life lessons, you will become wiser over time. Right? So I want to tell you the most important advantages of this particular placement. This placement in ancient text is called as a hidden treasure. Why it is called as a hidden treasure? What is hidden treasure? Basically a treasure buried underground. How can you get it? You need to dig through obstacles and layers of earth, then you can get the treasure. So if you apply that pattern here, see, you may come across a lot of obstacles, crises, and losses, sudden events in your life. All these things will teach you a lot. You will learn lot of life lessons, right? So with your spiritual depth, resilience, and with all this, you will get eventual success if you stand before these obstacles. If you're able to cross these obstacles, yes, you will get treasure in your life, you will get eventual success. So whenever you get personal challenges in your life, the Jupiter in the 8th house person, you need to understand that if you overcome these personal challenges, yes, in the next part of your life you will see a very great of you, a very better person of you, and you will experience life like, you know a very happy life you will experience, I would say, right? That is one important observation. Another one is, with this placement I observed lot of people getting inheritance or shared resources or other people's money. These people get money from investments. So I would say it represents, Jupiter in the 8th house represents significant wealth accumulation through some investments and partnerships. This is very much absurd, right? So these two things I can tell you. When you come across the problems, treasure is yours. You will, if you make good and if you make investments, yes, you will gain for sure, right? And of course, for property related matters, you need to observe your 4th house also. That dignity also matters. But this Jupiter in 8th house can give you some financial gains. Now, what if Jupiter is acting as a malefic, if it is acting as a bad planet in the 8th house? There are three things that I observed. One is the financial losses. Sudden financial losses can be observed if this Jupiter in the 8th house is working bad for you. Another important thing is, in female horoscopes, Jupiter represents your husband. So, and 8th house represents the strength of your marriage knot. So, challenges in relationships can be observed when Jupiter in the 8th house is not working positively for you. Another important thing is anxiety issues. A lot of people with Jupiter in the 8th house suffer from some anxiety issues. The intensity of the 8th house, can give you a lot of stress. So these are the most important things that I observed here. And I will tell you one important thing I want to tell you is, in this channel there's a comment. I think one of the subscribers made one comment that he is Taurus ascendant guy, Taurus ascendant person, and 8th lord is Jupiter sitting in the 8th house only, that is in Sagittarius. So there is one fundamental principle in Vedic astrology, that is, whenever a malefic planet is sitting in the Mula Trikona house of that planet, right, the maleficity of the planet reduces. What it means for Taurus ascendant, Jupiter is a primary malefic planet, being the 8th lord. Now it is sitting in the 8th house itself, that is Sagittarius itself. Sagittarius is a Mula Trikona house of Jupiter. That's why the Jupiter's maleficity in Sagittarius reduces. If Jupiter is a malefic planet and if it is sitting in the Sagittarius, that is a Mula Trikona house of Jupiter, then its maleficity reduces. This concept is universal. Let us say Saturn is malefic in your horoscope, functionally malefic, but it is sitting in the sign of Aquarius, then its maleficity reduces. Then you can take any other planet as well, right? So take Mercury. Mercury, let us say it's a functionally malefic planet for your horoscope, but it is sitting in the sign of Virgo. That means Virgo is the Mula Trikona house of Mercury. So Mercury's maleficity reduces in the sign of Virgo. That's what I want to tell. So for the user, I am telling that the Jupiter, the 8th Lord Jupiter sitting in the 8th house is not so malefic for you. So it's not a very bad thing, I would tell you, right? Because it is sitting in its Mula Trikona house Sagittarius. Now Mula Trikona sign Sagittarius. Now what are all the important remedies that you may need to follow when you have a negatively acting Jupiter in the 8th house, right? You need to do charity and helping the needy. That is Thursday. On Thursdays, you need to help the needy. You need to worship the Brihaspati, Dakshinamurti, or you need to chant Guru Mantra, right? So one thing I want to tell you, whether this is a sure shot remedy I would tell you, that is whether your Jupiter in the 8th house is working positively or negatively, leave it. One remedy that you need to do is you need to chant the Guru mantra or the Jupiter mantra, the Brihaspati mantra, every day 108 times. That's it. It will nullify all the negative effects of your Jupiter in the 8th house. Whether it is functionally malefic or benefic, leave everything. Jupiter in the 8th house, you just do this worship of Guru or Brihaspati, that is chant Jupiter mantra every day 108 times. That is one important thing. And better you do not wear any yellow stone, any yellow gemstone. It's not at all recommended when Jupiter is in the 8th house. Better you do not wear Pukhraj or yellow sapphire or any Jupiter related, right? Any Jupiter related gemstone. Because sometimes what happens, when you know Jupiter is acting positively for you in the 8th house, and now you want to strengthen it because you know that your Jupiter is working very positively in the 8th house, and you wore yellow sapphire. In addition to giving the sudden money and sudden gains of money in your life, if Jupiter is positive in the 8th house, it is also going to give you a lot of obstacles. So never wear any gemstone of Jupiter, that is yellow sapphire, if your 8th house has Jupiter. So overall, Jupiter in the 8th house is a kind of mixed result. It gives mixed results. So the areas where the alignment is present with Jupiter and 8th house are the spiritual growth, longevity, the inheritance or the shared resources or the wealth that you can accumulate through investments and partnerships. And the most important thing is the transformative wisdom. So there's a treasure in your life after overcoming all the obstacles. So very great thing for you. That's it. So thanks for watching this video.